I'm Brandon Lewis, and welcome to Max Loves Midland.
Welcome back to the Max Loves Midland show. I'm Kevin LaDuke, your weekly tour guide. And I'm sure today you probably thought I would be in a bow tie, because with me today is the Dapper one. You may have seen him around. I know you've seen him on social media. He probably sold your friend a house. We've got Brandon Lewis here. I'm so excited for this. This is incredible.
Thank you so much for having me. When you shot the text and said that you may not be dressing up, that was my opening. I said, okay, I'm with it. So it works for me.
Well, what's cool about that is we get to be ourselves, right? We can come, chop it up, talk a little bit. I know we'll probably talk a little bit of Pistons, so I threw the Piston shirt on today.
I love it.
But I love that you still have the Dapper Agent hoodie on.
Always.
So, it's the bow tie is still represented. As somebody in marketing and communications, I love your brand. I think you've done something pretty interesting, and you've branded the way that you go about your business. So how did that even come about? I mean, I know we're jumping right in, but... dang.
How did it come about? Craziness. It was pretty much all organic, though. I worked at Dow, and I made this crazy leap and transition to sales, because that's a smart thing to do, a mortgage and a wife and kids. Yeah, let's figure out if we can make money. But probably the second best decision I've ever made in my life after marrying my wife, I'd say. For the brand... that was an amazing realtor by the name of Ashley Bromley. She always told me I was dapper, and which there's no better compliment than a compliment not only from a grandma type, but also someone who is always dressed to the nines. So that's how the Dapper Agent thing came about.
Now, have you ever felt more dapper than you do right now in the sunglasses?
Absolutely not. I mean... this right here, Max Loves Midland sunglasses, it's fire.
And I don't want you to feel like you have to wear those all episode. You can take those off whenever you want, but I love you playing the part, man. It's like, what's cool about Max is representative of all of us. So we want these sunglasses to kind of be a beacon for everyone to understand, like, we're here to storytell, we're here to have fun, we're here to connect folks.
Okay.
And you have an interesting story as a Midlander.
I do. Grew up in Flint. And my mom moved this way, got remarried, and culture shock. I went from probably 75% all African-American class, and then it was just me. And that was in 5th grade. But I will say I've met some of the most amazing people. Obviously, my wife, too. But I'm still on a group chat with friends from those times. So, Midland was a good decision.
So you said you got here in 5th grade?
5th grade. That's
a really interesting age. I think 5th grade is like when you first start getting your first CDs, you start getting into fashion more. You're really developing your personality around that age.
Absolutely.
That shot coming here to Midland, and you said, like, you're coming to a space where, you're probably not seeing a lot of other black kids. And what was that like?
I think from the beginning, first couple days, a little bit off-putting. What just happened? I'm ready to go back home. For the most part, is probably a little bit uncomfortable, I would say. But then once you start talking to people, especially in that age group, it's, hey, like your shoes. It's kind of one of those type of things where, I'm wearing Jordans. Everyone else is wearing Adidas Sambas at the time, So you kind of have this mixture of these two things going on. And especially like with the music. During that time period, we're talking 90s hip hop. This is, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre time period. And then I'm learning about Nirvana and Green Day. And Green Day Dookie was my first alternative CD that I purchased with my own money, which I think in two ways. I think my mom was like, awesome. He's, assimilating, I guess, or, a part of the crew. On the other side, she was like, I never would have guessed. But, can't go wrong with Green Day, right?
No, you can't go wrong with Green Day. Dookie's a great album,
it's
too.
A great
and
album.
I think we've already talked about it on the show once or twice already, which is funny enough. But, you get here and you start becoming a part of things here in Midland. And, what kind of activities were you involved in growing up? Like, what did that look like here for you?
So I was the basketball kid if there was a court open, whether it be the community center, the Baptist League, Midland High, we played ball. That was just kind of our thing to do. And I think basketball, especially, is kind of the great connector, whether it be race, religion, anything like that. It's hey, I got next. You hoop with whoever's there, and that's how I met a lot of people around the city.
Well, it's interesting because you put people together, right, and you put them in common spaces, and you bring this out, and I think we're seeing a lot of that here in Midland right now with folks gathering in common spots, and it's called the Commons.
It is.
I mean, the Commons downtown, and that is just so important for that idea of we keep hearing like we need more inclusion, we need more, but togetherness is part of that, right?
Very much so. Very much so.
And it like really brings people together, and you get to learn about one another. And I just think that's great that basketball was one of those catalysts for you, because basketball was one of those catalysts for me as well. So
absolutely.
Growing up, I always played ball. I'm from the little town of Beaverton. I was fortunate enough to play for Roy Johnston, who is the winningest coach in the history of the state. So when he hit that record and he retired this year, and he just met Magic Johnson over at the SOAR conference.
That's awesome.
During the Dow Championship. So they got to exchange a hug. And it's just basketball can cross so many different spaces, and not just basketball, but sports in general, and it can really be a connector.
1,000%.
And speaking of sports, man, I know you got a family at home, and did I hear your kids are pretty active in these spaces, or what do they have going on?
Yes, if I'm not here or selling real estate, we are on some type of field or some type of court. My youngest, actually, and he just started golf. I don't know where that came from. I am a horrible golfer. I'm more of a wear the Jordan golf shoes and make sure I look fresh type of golfer. But yeah, he started golf, and he's my basketball playing boy. That's the one that I closed my eyes and prayed for, that I always have a basketball kid. And my oldest, he is a up and coming football player, and we just left a big Jeff Trickey quarterback camp. And yes, we're always on the field. Shout out to Michigan Made football. What Vince is doing over there is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, Agnew's tearing it up with that program.
He definitely is.
What does that say about opportunity for kids to be able to play sports in this community?
To me, it's everything. As a kid who not only loves sports, but just probably needed something to do to keep myself out of trouble.
Not you, Brandon.
Yeah, I know, right? I would like to consider myself just a little talkative, maybe. It all worked out on the back end, but I'm sure my teachers were tired of hearing me talk and make jokes and be the class clown. But being able to play sports, it brings out so many different things. It's the confidence, it's the teamwork of working together, it's the triumph of winning, just feeling good about yourself. And I think also at the end of the day, for all of us, and I probably need to do it a little bit more, the exercise, right? You're out, you're about. In my day, we played a lot of ball outdoors. That was fresh air, that sunlight. That's and double rims. If you can shoot on a double rim, you can shoot anywhere.
What was your favorite park to play in here in Midland? Did you have a spot that you guys would hit up?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have to go old school Baptist League.
Okay.
I have to go. Those are the doublest rims of all time. But yes, that was the place to be. Even if you weren't playing basketball, the girls were there. The Northwood students were there. That was just the place to be on a Sunday.
That's awesome. And I know you still have a lot of these connections from growing up here in Midland. And your wife is your high school sweetheart?
She is. I'm one of those people.
One of those people.
I'm
okay.
one of those people. Yes, we met sophomore year in high school. Did I say that right? Junior year in high school. I'm gonna get in trouble for that. But yeah, we've just kind of. It was one moment in time. Actually, a couple blocks away from here, we met at a party, and I guess the rest is history. I guess the best way to explain it. So. She's a saint. She put up with me for, this many years.
And now here you are. You got 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, 5 kids, 7, 9.
We can stop at 2.
We stop at 2.
Can
okay.
stop at 2. Yes.
All right.
Yes, I am done. There is no more love to give.
Okay, fair enough. And both boys, correct?
Both boys.
How old are they?
13 and 8. Jackson is 13. He's going into 8th grade at Northeast, and Isaiah is 8, and he is at Plymouth Elementary, which I used to go to Plymouth Elementary. I know.
So Plymouth, and then you went to...
Okay. So this is where things get a little interesting.
Your journey, right?
There was an incident. We're not going to talk about it, but there was an incident, and I had to move over to Midland Christian. So I went to Midland Christian, and there was another incident. And then my mother came home and homeschooled me.
Okay.
Yep.
Best teacher you ever had?
Yes, mother, you are the best teacher I ever had. But seriously, the selflessness, the things that you don't think about when you're young. You took me out of school. You took me away from friends. This is the worst, right? Now in my 40s, you quit your career to focus on me. That's huge. Once again, I wasn't the easiest child. That's why I'm an only child. She said she was done. But I think the confidence that I learned from that it's not that I'm not smart. It's not that I can't learn. It's more of a focusing type situation. Yes, I think maybe I need a little bit more time than others. But I learned that about myself, and it's the greatest gift I was ever given to me.
Awesome. So where did you do high school at?
Midland High. So I do 2 years there. I do good, and I'm like, hey, mama. I'd like to play basketball. I think I can act right. I did pretty well.
You had to earn your way there.
I did pretty well. So I earned my way there, and I graduated from Midland High. Shout out to Dr. Frizzy for, we hung out a lot. So.
One of those situations?
Yes. But great teachers over there. I mean, Dr. Frizzy, you talk about, Mr. Krause House himself, Dr. Poole, great folks.
And you talked about that journey and how now you're sharing spaces in the community with them, right? Like
Absolutely.
We're all adults now,
Yes.
and we're in the community, and we share these places and common areas, and we're all gathering. What would 17-year-old Brandon think of you, like, hanging out with these folks that were authority figures when you were growing up?
Hilarious. You know what I mean? One, who knew that they weren't that much older than me? I think that's probably the first thing because in my head, they were ancient, but they were probably around my age now. So I think they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I guess that was probably what we always had great conversations with all of my teachers. Yes, I get sent down to the office, but I can talk to the secretary. And we're going back and forth. I'm an only child. I watched a lot of TV. I know more than I probably should know at that age. So I just had this gift of gab to be able to just talk to people. So I think it was one of those things where, hey, Brandon, can you attempt to do what you're supposed to do? You have the potential. You're a great kid, but we just need to focus a little bit. I was, too busy trying to look cool and be cool and talk to girls and all that kind of stuff. So.
And now you look at your 8 and your 13-year-old. How are they like you? Well,
it's funny how all of those things come to roost. You always hear the term, I can't wait for you to have kids. Some of those things are showing up. I will say the best thing, once again, my wife, having children with someone who is the polar opposite of you, I think tames a lot of it. We see there's glimpses and there's moments of old Brandon Lewis that come out. But for the most part, they're both like their mom. They're pretty laid back, they're chill, and they just want to do right. So great kids.
That's awesome. Are they going to similar schools that you went to growing
Absolutely.
up? Okay.
Absolutely. Well, besides the homeschool thing. I love my mama, but I ain't got it in me. I ain't got it in me.
And hopefully that never comes a reckoning where it's like...
I hope not. I hope not. I have failed as a father.
What class would you be able to teach the best? Would you be doing like at-home gym?
I'd be LeVar Ball.
Okay.
I would be... we're gonna hoop.
Yeah, the Ball brothers.
Yes, we're gonna hoop. I'm gonna teach all lessons through ball.
I think we should still have like a Lewis reality show though, like Ball in the Family. I don't know what kind of name we could come up with.
I love the idea. The kids would love the idea. My wife, not so much, and probably my in-laws don't really want to know what goes on in our house.
Probably for I don't really know what it'd be like to have that camera on all the time. Anyways, it could be a little scary.
I think I'd have a great time with it. I'd have a great time with it. I think there's probably a few people in the community that would go, "Oh, I don't think you're supposed to say that many times, especially in front of your kids." But it is what it is.
Well, hey, and we talk about Midland, and when you talked about making your transition from Dow, which I mean, obviously shout out to Dow, but
Shout out.
making that transition from Dow to real estate, you kind of said, I took the Midland path.
Yes.
And I think that is a thing. And I think it's okay to admit that that's a thing here. So what does that Midland path look like?
Well, it's when we found out we were having my son, Jackson, we were just transitioning from the Chicago area. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, let's get married. We had the kid already coming. Let's work at Dow, So we did the check. I'm a Midlander. Went to Blessed Sacrament Church. You know what I mean? We're knocking off all of the Midland things that we are. But I think in that process, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about my wife, and it was time to do something more. It was time for the leap. I think the Midland path is the path that you know. So yeah, I can navigate that. But jumping to real estate was definitely one of those things where it's like, okay, not even just the money side, it's how will people respond to me? How will they respond to, the previous party boy that I used to be? This is the biggest financial decision that you're ever going to make. Will I put that in Brandon Lewis's hands? Like, there's all of those things that you kind of lay in bed when, all of the noise goes away and you start really thinking about your life and who you are. Those are the things that come through. But I've had some great mentors. All of my people at Air Reinhardt Realtors who have really championed me, I guess is the best way to explain it. I said, hey, you've got it. You can do it. May have to work a little bit harder than, most. Yes, there's always the race side of things, My favorite part is sometimes people will walk in the house and they go, hey, man. And I'm like, yeah, I know. You weren't expecting to see me, but it is what it is.
That takes a lot of strength, though, because that is you as a person.
It does. But I think I'm also a Midlander. I'm probably more Midland than a lot of Midland people. When you start thinking about the schools that I've gone to, the people that I know, and just the Air Reinhardt side of it. I've been in most of the homes in this city. I know how this city works. So I understand when you saw that, and all right, let's start having a conversation. And usually once we start talking, it's 1 degree of separation here. We know someone, I know someone that and we start talking and, I don't want to say it's like more of a vouching system, but I think some of it with some people is oh, okay, X, Y, and Z, or XYZ says you're cool. So,
well, and I think it's okay to say, like, I'm a Midlander and I know what that means.
Absolutely.
Because we put in our vision statement, Midland, an inclusive community. Now, that is a vision statement. We can admit that is not where we are at, right? And we are trying to get there.
Yes.
So how do you feel as we're moving toward these goals? Like, are you seeing shifts in the community? Are you recognizing any differences? Are you seeing more spaces? Or
I will say we're on the right path. I think the thing about Midland, as you know, and most people know, we like we like to table things. We like to have meetings about meetings. We're a little on the slow side. I keep saying I need to start a consulting service because Midland always wants to consult before they leap. But I believe we're on the right road. If you're looking around the table on some of the boards and some of the facilities that I've been at, it's not just your typical Midland folks. We're seeing the Black and brown. We're seeing the LGBTQ. We're seeing young people being at these tables, and I think that's really what we need. I thoroughly believe the more differences that you have around the table, the faster and further we go.
It's just an amazing piece there, and you spoke a lot about the strength of your mother and your mom being your teacher growing up. Your mom was a pillar of the community, correct? When you were growing up.
Yes.
What kind of stuff was she involved in?
So My mom, she worked for Genesee County, emergency management preparedness. Ooh, still got it. I worked on the mayor's campaign in Flint. I knew sheriffs. I knew all of these people and these things and these entities and jobs. And I think that put a confidence in me to move a little bit differently. She also showed me the side of civil service and volunteering and how important that is. It's not enough just to work a job and, get money and, buy sneakers, to give back. And for here, I'm giving back to a community that gave to me. So to be on this side of things, it's a plus.
And it's weird how things shift, right? So your mom was very recognizable and a pillar of her community. Your brand is huge. Your wife works a job at the country club, which she is fantastic at.
Yes.
So between you and Katie, you're a power couple at this point. How does that feel?
Wow. Okay. We got to get power couple sweatshirts now. No, I think, once again, the community has given so much to both of us. And I think it would be almost downright blasphemous to not give back. I think the one conversation that me and my wife always have is the two Midlands. And the real Midland people know that there's more than one Midland. Outskirts, or what we appear to be, is, decently financially well, two-parent households, all of these things, right? We're classic American city. But there's single moms there, there's single dads, there's people that are going through drug situations, and there's so many things here. But I also would say the resources are here too. And to me, that's what makes Midland. It's the people. There's so many people that are willing to give and to help. But I think we have to highlight them. We can't hide behind the Sparkle City and or as we call it, the Midland bubble. God bless us for and no more type situation. But like I said, I believe we are on the right road. We could probably mall walk a little bit. Shout out to Jordan Dice. We could mall walk and get there a little bit faster. But we are on the right road.
And you saying the two Midlands, that points out this idea that I hear all the time, that Midland's very homogenous, that we kind of are all in the same, same pot, same direction. And the reality is, when you say there's two Midlands, that's just splitting it here. But we're all just so individual. I think there's 80,000 plus Midlands if you're looking at every one of us individually. When we started this initiative, and I've already mentioned it, but with Max Loves Midland, the idea is how can we put all 80,000 plus at the table, right?
I love it.
I always say the show is going to continue until we interview every single person, and so this is going to go on for hundreds of years. And,
I like it.
We'll get you on a second time, and
I hope so.
And it'll be really fun. So we have all these differences, and in Midland itself, it's changing, right?
It is,
and we're moving in this direction of celebrating uniqueness and celebrating all of us as people, because it takes all of us to bring it together, and we've all got this story to tell. And I'm really excited that you're here today to talk about it as well. So let's talk a little bit about your work.
Okay.
So you sell houses or something? Is that your thing?
I go in people's houses when they're not home.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, that's my horrible description of what I do for a living. The mean streets of real estate. I love it. I absolutely love it. Like I said, you get to meet so many different people, the people of Midland. But real estate, it's the biggest financial decision you'll make in your life. But your home, that's your safe haven. I like to say that's where the pants are off, right? That's where after you work, after you go through all the things, the financial sides, the race sides, all of these things that you have to deal with on a daily basis, just being a regular human, it's the place where you get to close the door. You could pray if you want to. You can cry if you want to. You can binge watch Netflix if you want to. You know what I mean? It's the place where you actually get to let your hair down and be you. And I take that very serious in helping you find your safe haven. It's more than just a house. It's the, like I said, it's the place where you get to put your hair down and exhale.
So we talk a lot about third places here, and that third place is always this place that you spend additional time beyond home or work. But you're focusing on that first place.
Absolutely.
And there's something magical about connecting someone with that first place. What kind of joy does it bring you when you get somebody into a space? And like, you've sold houses to my friends, and like, how does that feel to you when you are putting somebody in that position to be able to purchase that house that you're kind of connecting them to?
I love it. And not that I guess I talk about my mother a lot. I remember when my mom bought her house. Now, mind you, I was very young. I was about 5 years old. But the conversation that she's always had with me is, I saved, I sacrificed because I always wanted you to have a home, a backyard, a community, a place where you ride your bike, a place where we can put up a basketball goal. It's those things that I think sometimes seem minuscule, but they're so huge. A place, as people who rent know, a place where you can paint. I've got Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas on my wall, thumbtacks, boom. But those are our walls, the satisfaction of putting someone in their home, all right, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. I get a little emotional when I think about it because I have put single moms in homes that didn't think they'd have a home. I've seen people get divorced and that pull back off of that. I've seen people lose their business and have to sell their home, but that bounce back is absolutely amazing. And I think those phone calls, those text messages, I love getting the picture. Hey, remember that ugly room? Look at this. And people are so excited when it's the game room, or, you get the single guy. And here's my favorite. I get the single guy, buys a house, meets a lady, they get married. Then they have and they're sending me pictures of the nursery. So that same room went from game room, to a room for friends to sleep over, to a nursery. And I was a part of that process. That's absolutely amazing. So, I consider myself like, distant cousin Brandon.
Cousin Brandon, friend to all, family to all.
Exactly.
What was your initial catalyst to get into real estate? Now, I know you have family in the business.
I do.
But what was that specific moment where you knew this is where I'm going to go?
I'm sitting at Dow, and every morning I'm listening to the Breakfast Club out of New York. I kind of had a routine in the morning. I'd go down and talk to security and grab Starbucks, and then come back upstairs and listen to the Breakfast Club. And they had a drug dealer turned realtor on, and that was the first time I really heard real estate sound cool or sexy or however you want to call it. It was a great hour. He was like a celebrity realtor. He had sold to, I think, a couple guys from the New York Knicks. So that kind of got his name out there. And right after there, these are the good old days. So I get on Twitter, I find him, and I just shoot him a message. And I'm like, hey, great interview. What can you tell me about real estate? Now, yes, both of my in-laws are realtors. My mom had rental homes, so it's not like I have not been around the business, but this was the first time it really kind of struck a chord in me. And that was the plus of Twitter. He writes me back, and he's like, yeah, you should read these books and just do it, just leap, which I thought was insane that this guy wrote me back. So I started reading, and I talked to my wife about it, and that's the one thing that I always say: make sure you find yourself a spouse who's not just ride or die, but actually believes in you. She probably believes in me more than I believe in myself, but she said, all right, let's do it. And here we are.
I think anything's possible with like mid-2010s Twitter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can accomplish just about anything.
Absolutely. I think I got a like from Joe Dumars one day. I thought that was cool. I got a like from, and I don't know if this was Britney Spears. She was going through some things during the time, but hey, a like is a like.
Somebody on her team.
Somebody on her team liked.
One of her kids got the phone.
Hey, I don't care. I don't care. Shout out to Kevin Federline. Where's? Sorry.
We don't know where K-Fed is.
Where's K-Fed?
I didn't do that prep for this interview, so this is probably going to be the only time Kevin Federline ever gets referenced on the Max Loves Midland show.
I hope so.
I think that's a special bond that you and I now hold here.
Forever.
We can put that one in the rafters. Yes. So now we're selling homes and we're making content too. I think it's cool when I log online, and before I even met you, it's like I felt like I knew you. It was almost like this parasocial relationship thing because you're in all these videos doing all this stuff and willing to try different things. So similar to how you heard that real estate could be different and you heard it put a very specific way when you were listening to The Breakfast Club, I think you communicate real estate in a very specific way as well. How do you get your inspiration to like market different ways, or is it just the willingness to say yes?
I think it's the willingness to say yes. I think this is also this is Brandon online watered down is the best way to explain it. These are the same conversations that I'm having in my house or I have with my friends. I just share them with other folks, have dapper thoughts and, all of these things that I just think of that just come to my mind. And you end up realizing that we are not that much different. Because usually when I post something, someone, oh, I was thinking that too, or what about this? And you have this dialogue. Once again, there's that connection between me and the people, or just people just in general. I think for the content thing, I was broke. I'm not gonna lie. I got into real estate, and day one, you sit at the table and you go, all right, I'm gonna do this thing, and then you're like, okay, how do I make money, right? And this is shout out to Zucks. This was the good time period where you post and everyone who's your friend would see things. So I just kind of started posting things musically.
Like pre-TikTok.
Pre-TikTok.
Like musical. I never downloaded Musically, by the way.
That was my second closing. I did a closing time song
by Some Nice Sonic.
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of people liked it. They thought it was hilarious. Some realtors kind of gave me the ugly face because they're like, what are you doing? That's not very professional of you. But I think that was my opening to the situation. So then I just decided, all right, let's put my ugly mug on the camera and talk about real estate, talk about kids, talk about Midland, just talk about small businesses. I always have a heart for the small businesses, and that's how me and the great James Ecker started Happy Friday Midland. It was a fluke of a video, and we did one video about the farmer's market, I believe, and it got a lot of views. And we kind of looked at each other and was like, you want to do this again next week? And he's like, yeah. So every Friday I was like, all right, what should we do? So we started doing Midland Parks, and then we started doing small businesses. We started downtown, and we did Heather and Holly's and Pizza Sam's. And next thing you know, we've done, over 100 or so small business videos, just showing people what Midland has to offer and who we are.
What's your most off-the-wall clip that you put together?
I'm sure it's somewhere on the cutting room floor. The most off the wall. I did a voiceover of the Golden Girls theme song. And I must have did so well because I started getting text messages of people going, I didn't know you could sing. And I'm like, I can't. You couldn't tell that was, but yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Golden Girls? And plus that theme song is absolute fire.
I'm noticing a trend here. You talk about moving here in 5th grade. Yep. And, your keys to success there. You talked about, although you didn't always have it on track, you had these good relationships with people and able to talk with folks. And now, moving all the way through the Midland path and then now to real estate. Yep. It's this theme of authenticity.
Have to be.
And so Is that like core of your advice when somebody's asking like, what's my key to success? Is it always just be yourself or just go for it? Or
1,000%. You have to be you. When you are being authentically you, that's your superpower. No one can be you more than you. I get a lot of the younger folks asking, younger folks now asking me about real estate. Yeah, I know. In my 40s now, so get to look down on the youth.
grown man swag?
Grown man
Underrated.
Ooh, I like it.
Underrated.
I like it.
Underrated.
But yeah, they're asking me what should I do, and I tell them that there are lots of very successful realtors in this area, and they do it all differently. So what is it that makes you you? If you can draw or you used to be an engineer, you're able to talk about a house in a different type of way. If you have a construction background, you're able to walk inside a house and go, this, and this. Oh, that's not that big of a deal. You can do this. There's all of these things that make you you. So, and as we talked about people being at the table, that's what we need. I need you to be at the table with your thoughts, your experiences, your vision of what the future looks like. So, yes, be you.
And then we have all these conversations about housing. And I know that it's not necessarily your focus. Your focus is to get people in and out of houses. But I hear all the time like the need for housing and what that means and how we track that in the community. Can we just talk about your view of the health of housing in Midland? No loaded question here, just your view of what's going on.
It's about as loaded as they can get. Yes,
It's like when you say like, the disclaimer is like half a warning.
Exactly. So I am part of an initiative with the city called Housing Forward, with the amazing Jennifer Acostas. And what she is putting together is going to revolutionize our area. No pressure on her right there, right? Just like how I took that question and pushed it off of me and onto her. She has some really great ideas, but we need more housing. And it's going to take all of us. It's going to take government. It's going to take the common man to make these things happen. It's also going to take the city of Midland probably opening up a little bit and doing more consulting work on ideas of how we can bring more housing. Is that tiny house? Is it tiny homes? Is it opening up, bigger he said, she sheds? There we go.
Like the mother-in-law suites?
Yes, mother-in-law suites, all of those things, because as the boomers are starting to get a little bit older and my children are starting to get a little bit older, I'm kind of in the middle of both sides of this may be my responsibility. So those multi-family homes may end up being the thing that makes this work. I know I just sold a home to an old elementary school buddy and his mom, and that's what they did. We found a duplex, so grandma could live on one side, and him and his children are on the other side. So yes, there's a divider, so you still have your space, but you're still able to help out, and it's all under one accord. So yes, how do we get more housing? I'm going to tell you, I don't know. We have talked to a lot of people, but Jennifer has some really great ideas, and I think us backing her and listening, which I think is always big, listening to the people who know, will be our greatest asset.
How do you feel about the demand to live in this community?
So I believe Midland is turning out to be the community it probably should have been 10, 15 years ago. So I know prices are up, but when you think about 90-plus parks, when you think about low crime rate, when you think about 14th best school district in the state, when you think about having a Fortune 25 company in our city, we're second to none. So people are starting to find out now that this isn't a bad place to live. And I think also the things that happened with COVID, being able to work from home, has definitely changed that idea too. Because if you can work from home, why not live in such a great community? Why not put your kids in a great school system? Why not have walkability, drivability, as we talk about, some of your more metropolitan cities? Like when we lived in Chicago, the idea of going to the grocery store was a whole situation. You know what I mean? It's like, do you feel like doing this today? But, being able to park at Myers, get your stuff, and I'm back home before my show starts is absolutely amazing. So I think Midland's just turning out to be the amazing city that they probably should have been a while ago, and people now know.
And when you talk about Midland as a location asset, how do you feel about being able to get around the state from this location? You get this gateway to the north, you can head down south. How do you utilize Midland as a location spot?
So we're everywhere. I will definitely say we are everywhere. My son plays flag football, so we're in Brighton a lot. A lot of my friends that I graduated with live in the Detroit area. My family's from Flint. So I-75, middle lane, cruise control, it gets no better than that. I'm there for everything. You know what I mean? And then the idea of having up north, which to me is the real win of living in Michigan. That the outside doesn't really realize how beautiful, because you think of your Detroits, your Grand Rapids, your Flints, your Lansings, right? But there's a beautiful, the amount of lakes, the amount of hiking and outdoor things that you can do, the restaurant scene in Traverse City. Come on now, we are that hidden gem. And I'm actually not mad at it being hidden, to tell you the truth. I mean, if you look at, you talk about Midland starting to grow. If you look at Traverse City, maybe 10, 15 years ago, we used to hang out there and it wasn't. And now it is booming, So, there's plus and minuses to it all.
Where does up north start?
Ooh. Okay, so I'm a Flint kid, so it's Midland.
It is Midland.
It's Midland.
And so I'm from Beaverton, which is north of Midland.
Yep.
We would have this conversation. I said we live up north. US 10 is that dividing line, right?
By far.
Absolutely. I always say that Midland is actually the most northern suburb of Detroit.
I like that.
So you go like Midland, Bay City, Saginaw, Flint, you get down into Oakland County, and then boom, you're at Detroit.
I like it.
So we're the most northern suburb of Detroit. North starts here.
Is this like the suburban guys who say they're from Flint, but they actually live in, Davidson or Flushing?
Yeah. Like if I go on vacation, like where are you from? Detroit, right?
You have to. I am not sitting here and explaining Midland to you on my hand.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just a point to the hand. Yeah. Like I'm 2 hours north of Detroit, hour and a half north of Detroit.
Detroit. Wait, what up, though? I'm like, what up, though? And we just keep it moving.
So we mentioned third places here in Midland. So if your kids are looking for places to hang out, where are they landing at?
There's two. Actually, I guess there's three. Let me slow down a little bit. So this summer, downtown has been the number one place. Hey, Dad, can you drop us off downtown? The Commons area, being able to play cornhole, like we said, Heather and Holly's, Pizza Sam's, Bryn Star, all of these things are down there. And then there's festivals, there's bands. It also helps being Brandon Lewis in this community. So, because the kids always go, somebody walked up to me, and there's always eyes on your kid. So, act like he got some sense. I think the other side is Mr. Jordan Dice, once again, brought his name up twice. The mall has, I've dropped him off at the mall again, which I never thought would happen after my years of being a mall rat, being there. So, that's number two. And number three has to be Loons. If the Loons are open, the kids are there, great food, get to have baseball, run into your friends, and it's financially easy. It's hot $6. So that works great for Dad.
Mentioning the mall is really interesting because I was a mall rat, and I spent a lot of times walking around the mall too, and that's where, love of sneakers or love of fashion comes from. And you being able to drop them off at the mall, like that's a full circle moment, right?
Full circle. He doesn't even fully grasp what the Midland Mall used to be in its heyday. I mean, this was the epicenter of life. This is where the sneakers are, the CDs are, the magazines. This is where the girls are, the food court. You could the movies to the mall walk. I mean,
iconic.
That's iconic. If your mom doesn't drop us off at the movie and my mom pick us up from the mall, fire.
And there's no way I had enough money in my pocket to get a slushie at the movie, so I have to get one in Target on the way into the mall,
Fair.
so you can walk around with your slushie. But being in that mall, it is really interesting. I used to work at Hat World, which Lids, Hat World, whatever you want to call it. I worked at Finish Line in that mall when it closed down. But at one point in time, and we talk about sneakers and fashion, it was the honey hole, and people didn't know about it because you could get release sneakers that you couldn't get anywhere else. Like you go to Flint, those things are sold out. Saginaw, sold out. It was rare that I went somewhere else to buy sneakers because we were the spot that always had them in stock randomly.
It was perfect.
We had Finish Line, Foot Action USA, Champs. Did we have a Lady Foot Locker?
Lady Foot Locker.
Foot Locker. I mean,
yes,
just down the way. And every type of sneaker you could imagine.
They were there.
And, we'd always be there. And you didn't even have to line up. You could show up in the afternoon. You could sleep in. That's part of sneaker culture is lining up.
See, this is how old I am. They would sit for weeks. Weeks. I would get my my little sneaker money, or I had a paper route. I'd collect my paper route money and go back up there and grab my sneaker. Like it was an amazing time period.
So when we did a pre-interview, we bonded a lot about sneakers and we talked a little bit about that. And so I put a little challenge out to you that we were going to do a draft.
Oh boy.
Of our top 5
okay.
sneaker releases.
Yep.
And they could be however sentimental to you as you want them to be.
Yep.
Special to you. So let's get it started. I'm going to give you the first pick in this draft.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me, what is your number 1? You're taking this first pick in the draft.
So I went super sentimental on my list. I'm not going to lie. These are, and I'm probably going to take some L's on here, but my number 1, I'm going Jordan 5 Grapes.
Okay.
It's the first Jordan I've ever got. So I'm going with Jordan 5 Grapes.
So what did that feel like when you got those? So what year are we talking here?
We are talking 1990. This makes me 9 years old. I walk into school and I just remember all of the 6th grade kids are like, holy smokes, where'd you get those from? That's so cool. And from that moment, I was like, I like this feeling. I have to be sneaker kid now.
And that was 5 or 6 years before Will even wore them on TV, I think.
Yes. Yes.
So my number 1 pick, I'm going to go with, this is from 2003.
Okay.
Jordan 1 patent leather, Chicago's.
Beautiful.
To me, the sentimentalness in that is my grandpa drove me up to the mall and I knew the exact sneaker I wanted. So we bought them from Kathy Mead at Finish Line, and that ended up being my boss one day. And I was in 7th grade. I hooped in them. I hooped in Jordan 1s in 7th grade. I would never do that now, but I was hooping in Jordan 1s.
Those are new feet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are new feet.
And there's a photo of me somewhere with gaudy armbands. I mean, it's 2002, 2003, like gaudy armbands.
You have to.
It's my basketball photo.
Yes.
It was definitely
you
a
look
moment.
like a builder player for like NBA 2K.
Absolutely.
I like it.
You got to build the player, add a foot, and then put your name in. So
yes. All right.
Second pick.
I'm going to go. Where do I go from here? I'm going to go Air Force Ones. So probably a weak pick, but it's the shoe that I've had the most. I call it the summer shoe. In May, every year, you got to go get a fresh pair of Air Force Ones. Like, you have to be crispy for the summer.
So if I see you in are they all whites? Are those what you normally wear?
Yep.
So the white Uptowns.
Yep.
When I was with Champs, I heard it all the time. Hey, white boy, size 11, 2 pair, white Uptowns, I knew right away, like,
yes.
I have to go to the back and get you Jordan 1s. Or I mean, Air Force Ones. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a special shoe. Do you have the all blacks too?
I do not. I don't have that type of energy.
Okay. I didn't know if when you really need to close a deal, if you're like, I'm putting the all black Jordan 1s on.
Don't nobody want that.
Okay, fair enough. My second pick, I wore them today. They're a little beat up, and that's okay, but I got my true blue Jordan 3s.
Can't go wrong.
Got the elephant print on here, matches the Pistons gear.
I love it.
It's a shoe that I usually keep boxed up, but 2 to 3 times a year, you can pull them back out, wear them to a game, have some fun with them.
The 3s almost look better worn. I'll always tell it, and you do what you want to do. All sneakerheads are different. Wear your shoes. Wear your shoes. Just wear them.
Don't leave them in the box. Wear your shoes.
It's okay. You're going to go back. They're going to be falling apart. They're going to be yellow. Just wear the shoes.
And especially if you're in Midland, we want to see these sneakers out a little bit.
Wear them.
Wear them.
Wear them. All right, you took one of mine. That was iconic. You know what? I'm going to go Jordan 6 infrared black.
Okay.
So, I love this shoe. It is the only shoe that I do not have. I have the white. There is Chad Courtner. Went to school with him. He had them, and every single day I would sit in class and just stare at those shoes. And I wanted them, and I didn't get them, and I don't have them. But here's where I'm at. I'm to the point now. I can buy the shoes.
Yeah. Right now, eBay, you could hit it.
But where do I go from there once I get them?
The style has changed, right?
Well, it's not even the style. It's the internal. Once I get the shoe that I have not had, what do I do?
There's no more unicorn to chase, right?
Exactly. So I thought maybe 50th birthday, kind of one of those type of things. Or I thought, maybe I die and not have the shoe.
What if they re-release that shoe?
I've heard that they're talking about it in 2025. I don't know.
Could you buy that one and then feel like the white dragon's still out there? Like you're going to have to go get that other one eventually?
Nope.
Okay.
I think if I just had it, I don't know what I would chase after that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I like the feeling of there's something out there I don't have.
All right. So my next one, I'm going to name another sneaker I hooped in.
Okay.
It's going to be Reebok Answers.
Ooh.
But the fours, the ones with the zippers on the front.
Yes, sir.
And Allen Iverson's face was on the bottom in that weird little.
Mm-hmm.
They made slip-on versions of those too. I think I had the slip-on versions, but I remember walking around Cedar Point in those specifically with my friend Jake, and I just felt so cool in those. And then I bought them again to hoop in later on.
But also comfortable.
Yeah.
That was a great shoe.
So bulky. It actually looked terrible on my feet, and I have the black and whites, and
Okay.
I'll put them on sometimes. They look so bad on my feet because it's just like this giant piece, but
It was the time period. Like the big bulky, like, you know what I mean? Like there's no reason why your tongue on your shoe should be that big and that thick. But yeah, great shoe. Where do I go from here? I'm going to go Jordan 11. If you were around for that moment, you're talking Concords. It's just, if you were here for cool grays, if you were here for the hysteria that was cool grays, and I mean like really in, it was unmatched.
I worked a cool gray release, and
lived to tell about it.
yeah, and it was tough, but the cool thing about the cool grays is I had a Michael Jordan White Sox jersey, the gray Chicago. I would never wear a White Sox jersey now, ever. But at that point, it was more about stunting than it was about
Always. It still
anything
is.
else. So, but it still is, and it still is.
It still is.
So yeah, Jordan 11s in general, all the colorways are just, and it's still. You talk about that moment. That moment still happens every Christmas. It just isn't the same way in the mall anymore.
Well, do you think it's just because of online now? You add that to it.
Yeah, and
So it's not just everyone freezing their what's off.
Absolutely.
Waiting for this shoe, being afraid of, who's in the parking lot waiting for it. Like, because there's people in line, and then there's people in the parking lot.
And working at Champs too, like we had the Golden Moments pack come out when I was there, and those were Jordan 6s and Jordan 7s.
Yes, sir.
And I was able to get 2 pair of those, and we were actually escorted out by security because they were like, "We don't want anymore." And I was like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, we've had some issues."
Listen, if you have not put your Jordans in a Sears bag to walk outside of the mall, I get the newer sneakerheads. You can't fault them for a time period they just weren't around. But it was a little bit different back then.
Yeah, and like I was not willing to get stuck up for sneaks ever. This is not gonna happen.
Fair.
We're naming like certain silhouettes and certain colors, but just foam posits in general.
I like foams.
So I loved my pink foams specifically.
Yes, sir.
And you could dress those up and dress those down. I think foams are going to have a resurgence, and Penny was him.
Penny was amazing. I still wear my foams. My 13-year-old makes fun of me because I'm wearing a basketball shoe with jeans. In my time period, that was okay. So, whatever.
Now let's round it out.
So since you went with a full shoe run, I'm going to go with a full shoe run and go Yeezys.
Ooh.
And I'm talking Red Octobers, like the Nike version all the way through the Adidas version. As a 42-year-old man, the idea of a rapper selling that many shoes is insane. Yes.
Well,
Run DMC, 50 Cent, Jay-Z. Yes, people have had sneakers and shoes. I get it. But this is something different.
I wear Yeezy Boost 350s to work almost every single day.
I wear mine this week.
They're just such a great silhouette. It's a really good shoe, and it's a specific status too. Like you throw those on, it just feels nice, and like it's a comfortable sneaker.
It is a comfortable sneaker. Red Octobers would be nice.
Do you have foam runners? I love my foam runners.
Okay, I don't have the foam runners. The kid has the slides. That's a little bit much for me. I feel like I'd be trying too hard.
Listen, I wear foams kayaking. I wear foams to the beach.
Fair.
Foams with socks, foams without socks.
Okay.
You can do some different things with it, and the shoe is just so malleable, and you get the all white one, you can just clean it right up.
That's true.
Like all white sneakers, you can't really clean all the way up, but like the foam runner, the material, just run underwater.
I'm also one of those guys, like I've never had Crocs. Like there's like certain, once again, I think it's just an age thing. I'm like, nah, I'm good. The kids can have that. they can have that.
Last one, Jordan 4's Cement. Just looks good, feels good. Honorable mentions I didn't mention. I hoop in Jordan 10 still. I love the high top Jordan 10s. I still hoop in those.
Can we talk about it? I had Jordan 10 on here as a sleeper pick. Why do people not like Jordan 10s?
I have no idea, but it has the best ankle support. And with a thinner foot, it just goes right across. It's just such a good feeling shoe, and I love hooping in them.
Jordan 10s, pair of Levi's, call it a day. They sit correctly. It's a great shoe. Got the stats on the bottom. Whatever. I like Jordan 10s. You like, and actually, I believe the steel grays are coming out this year. That's a must cop for me.
Absolutely. I think I might even get in line for those. And I don't do the sneaker releases too often. So how often do you even buy anymore? Is you grow out of these things, right?
It's more about the kid. I've got a great plug right now. Shout out to him. He knows who he is.
Talk to me off air.
We'll talk off air. But yeah, no, I've got a nice little plug right now. I don't go grab things like I used to. I actually saw a pair of John Morant's that were on sale for like $60 at Dick's this morning, and I was like, I don't need a pair of shoes. But I think once it's in you, it's always in you. You know what I mean? I went to go get my kid cleats, but I was like, let's see what's over here. But yeah, no, I don't grab maybe 2 or 3 pair a year, but at this point, I'm kind of out of the game. It's more my kid, sending me, hey, can we get these? And it's, some of the most outrageous prices you've ever heard in your life. But.
So as we did this list, there was a common name that kept coming up. And I asked this question in the last show to Brad Tunney with 100.9 The Mitt.
Okay.
Brad and I used to do a Pistons podcast together. So I already knew what his answer would be, but I had to ask him just to get it on air.
Fair.
I asked him, who's the GOAT?
Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
If it looks like the GOAT, it feels like the GOAT, it's the GOAT.
It's the GOAT.
His answer was different than ours.
I get it. I'm a Pistons fan. I get it. I named my kid Isaiah after Isaiah Thomas. I understand. I grasp it. But truth, Michael Jordan has to be. And they will never, ever be another. Mostly because of just the way the world is set now. Mike came at the perfect time.
Thank you.
That's
it's the convergence of media,
by far.
The rise of everything. It's the same thing to me. Like Griffey is hard to like upend in terms of like that popularity, but his is more arguable when it comes to like length of career.
Yep.
But Jordan, just the sheer dominance, the half mystery. But then when you see him, it's always these great propped up clips. I almost feel bad for LeBron in certain ways. But he'll never be able to take that title because he can't. He'll never look impervious.
LeBron did it to himself, though.
Could it also be just like the current state of media?
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. I mean, we wouldn't like Mr. Jordan if there was social media and all the stories could have come out. He's not a very nice man. But I'd still faint like a young teenage girl if I saw the man.
Absolutely. Like, it's one of the only people I think I'd get starstruck with.
By far. I've met and seen a lot of celebrities in my day. Cool. But that one? Mm-mm.
And you talked about a rapper being able to sell sneakers.
Yes.
We never saw a basketball player sell sneakers like that before Michael Jordan. And then the logo is him dunking. It's unbelievable.
I actually believe, rest in peace, Mr. Jerry West, but I thoroughly believe that Michael Jordan should be the logo. I said it.
Just the jump man?
Just the jump man. Do it.
You are not going to hear an argument from me.
Adam Silver, do it.
So we talked about some things we have in common. One last question. How do you fix the Detroit Pistons right now?
Shout out to Trajan Langdon for trying. We just gave Cade $246 million or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I believe at this point we have to get a number one pick. For some reason, we're not getting. If we could have got Wemby, I think maybe we could have facilitated something to make people want to come over here. I also think I've got nothing.
Yeah, it hurts, right? It almost hurts to talk about.
It does hurt. It hurts.
Will the Pistons double their win total this season?
14 last year, so 28.
Can they get to 28 this year? And is that a successful season for this team?
Yes, it's overly successful if they make it to 28. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no, and we still don't get the number one pick. I've got this whole idea. The NBA has a vendetta against the Detroit Pistons. I said it. It's true. They've hated it since the Isaiah and the Bad Boys times. I get it because we always talk about the Bulls. We talk about the Lakers. We talk about the Celtics, but we never talk about them. No one wants to talk about the 2004 Pistons. We beat the Lakers. Kobe, Shaq, Gary, and Karl Malone. No one wants to talk about that.
Pretty unbelievable. And that 2004 Pistons championship, it just means so much specifically to me. And I know you got a little bit more of the taste of those Bad Boys. And even those guys mean something to me. And I was born in 91. So it's just, we've had some historically great teams that have brought people together, similar to how we're talking about bringing people together here.
1,000%.
Sports brings people together, something we bonded over. So super thankful to have the Pistons in my life and always will be. But
they're the best.
Now to bring it home.
Okay.
Looking forward to Midland. What are your hopes for Midland?
I think just as the mission and the vision statement says, to allow everyone to be their authentic self, to have people feel welcome here, to thrive here. And I think, the founding fathers had some great ideas, and I think we compound those in a 2024 notion as we just keep moving forward. As we said earlier, we're on the right road. We just got to keep walking.
Well, Brandon, I appreciate you being here with us today.
I appreciate it.
Max Loves Midland, you have a home here, and we appreciate you being a part of this community, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more content from you.
Absolutely. It's time to get started.
And thank you guys for being here with us today. It's been another great episode of the Max Loves Midland Show. Make sure you're following us everywhere and go check out that website, maxlovesmidland.com. That is your community improvement hub. What we are trying to do here is connect us to one another. You're going to find great stories. You're going to find all sorts of events. You can learn more about the structure of Max Loves Midland. You can understand the collaborative work that's been going on in the community for quite some time. And more than anything, we hope to see you back for the next show. Subscribe wherever you consume media. Max Loves Midland is your entertainment, resources, and collective improvement hub for Midland County. Plan your next adventure in Midland at maxlovesmidland.com.